I am a sucker for antiques, oddities, and old stuff that has a story. And if you've watched my show for a couple of episodes, you know I'm kind of into science. Those two things rarely intersect, but today they do, because today is Milk Punch Day. Okay, so it's not technically a state or national holiday, but it is the day that I'm gonna talk all about milk punch, and that is no less exciting. There are two kinds of milk punch in this world. There's this one, which is a creamy brandy-based drink that hails from New Orleans. That looks good. And then there's this one, a crystal clear drink that owes its crystal clearness entirely to curdled milk. And yep, it's the latter that we're talking about today. With the milk punch technique, also known as milk washing or milk clarification, you take a mixture that looks like this and turn it into one that looks like this. We'll talk about texture, flavor, science, and how-to in a minute, but first, a little history lesson. If you'd rummaged around Charles Dickens' wine cellar after he died in 1870, you probably would have gotten arrested. But before you got cuffed, you would have found bottles of milk punch. That's actually pretty recent in the annals of milk punch. Did I just say annals? Anyway, 100 years before that, Benjamin Franklin wrote a recipe for milk punch in a letter dated 1763. Think that's old? The oldest known milk punch recipe, as reported by David Wondrich in his book Punch, comes a good 50 years earlier than that in 1711. Why did this technique become so popular back in ye olde times? Well, according to cocktail expert and writer Camper English, spirits in the 17 and 1800s would have been much rougher around the edges, and the milk clarifying process would have softened them up considerably. So why do it today? Well, milk clarified cocktails are beautiful, rich in body, refined, smooth, easy drinking, and easy for entertaining, because you make them way ahead and they store beautifully. So how does it all work? If you've ever tried to make quick ricotta cheese at home or left a gallon of milk in the fridge for too long, you've seen milk curdle. In both of these instances, it's the result of casein proteins aggregating when the pH drops and the mixture becomes more acidic. When milk is combined with an acidic cocktail, the casein clumps in the exact same way. And when they do, a really cool thing happens. They trap a lot of stuff. What kind of stuff? Tannins and other polyphenols, pigments, and some flavor compounds. To be clear, milk clarification removes a lot from a cocktail. And that might sound like a bad thing, but when it's done well, it's more like refining than deleting. Flavors mellow, harsh edges disappear, and drinks turn crystal clear. And it also adds something in its own right, whey protein-rich water. That contributes a luscious body to the drink. And it significantly helps with foaming if you want to add an egg white and shake it up. Let's go to the kitchen and curdle some milk. I'm gonna start with a drink inspired by a recipe called Ruby Punch. That comes from Jerry Thomas's Bartender's Guide from 1862. We're gonna start by whisking together some brewed black tea, some Batavia Arrack, which is a rum-like liquor, some ruby port, some sugar, and lemon juice. And we'll whisk until the sugar is fully dissolved. Now we could drink this right now. In fact, I'm gonna drink some of this right now, here at work. It's delicious and pretty intense. That black tea brings tannins and bitterness to the mix, and the ruby port brings rich fruitiness. Now I want to clarify it with milk. Now you see a lot of methods out there and they raise two key questions. First one, do you add the milk to the punch or the punch to the milk? This seems like a pretty trivial difference, right? Like, does it actually matter? Well, check out this experiment. In this measuring cup, I'm gonna add the milk to the punch. And in this one, I'm gonna do the opposite and add the punch to the milk. And check this out, it really does matter. Adding the milk to the punch invariably results in a twisted mass of curds suspended irregularly throughout the punch. This happens because the milk comes in contact with the highly acidic punch and it curdles on impact. The result is that only a portion of the punch actually gets clarified. Adding the punch to the milk slows the rate of acidification. Only once all of the punch is in the milk is the pH low enough for the casein to aggregate. At that point, the milk and punch are evenly mixed, so when the proteins do come together, they trap impurities from the entire mass. The next question, do you use hot milk or cold milk? Check out this experiment. Adding punch to milk in both instances, I'm testing 40 degree straight out of the fridge milk versus 180 degree straight out of the saucepan milk. With hot milk, the curdling action happens more quickly. And once again, we end up with a large mass of curds and a less clarified drink. On the other hand, the cold milk and the fine curds that form consistently clarify. Added bonus, no need to heat up the milk. Okay, so we finally properly curdled milk inside of a cocktail. Woohoo! After this sits for about 30 minutes, we then strain out the curds. Now, the key here is to do that pretty slowly and with a really fine filter. Lots of layers of cheesecloth will do the trick, as will one of those big basket-style coffee filters. That raft of casein traps particles as the liquid filters through. For the clearest results possible, it helps to pass it once and then back through again to catch every little cloudy bit. All right, ready for the big reveal? Here's our black tea port milk punch before clarification. And here it is afterwards. It's now smooth, lush, blush pink, and clear as a glass of wine. Time for a couple more sips. Want a clarified cocktail that doesn't have plentiful acidity in the form of citrus juice? In his incredible book, Liquid Intelligence, Dave Arnold shows you how to clarify spirits, cocktails, you name it, by mixing the booze and milk together and then adding a small amount of citric acid to facilitate the curdling. But let's get back to citrusy punches. Here's another one called Billy Dawson's Milk Punch. For this one, I muddle citrus zest with sugar and then add boiling water to dissolve the sugar. Then goes in rum, brandy, stout, lemon juice, and a little Batavia Arrack. Now that is a dark looking drink. I mean, it has stout in it. But then we add milk, strain, and boom, clear and beautiful. Now this is the perfect drink to serve alongside leather-bound books and rich mahogany. Let's try a sip. And check out this one called Mary Rocket's Citrus Milk Punch. This one started out with brandy, sugar, tons of citrus zest, and pulpy orange juice. And now it can pass for apple juice that you drink at your desk. Wait, what was this episode about? Thanks so much for watching. Now, go make milk punch right away. You'll have it for the holidays and way beyond.